Good evening and welcome back to my channel. This is the next installment on the A-10 Xwing concept fighter, and I've gotten as far as creating the back fuselage and sort of have the rough shape of the fuselage fleshed out. Now, this is only going to come back probably as far as here. I need to figure out how I have to mount the wings, but the wings should be mounting in right about here. And so once I do that, once I drop the wings in here, that will determine where this gets cut off. So I'm looking like it's going to get dropped off right about here. And the next thing that will be done then is figure out the cockpit cowling, and essentially that is about what it's going to look like. We're going to have it just about like that. This is, there's a whole lot of filling and sanding and a whole lot of, smoothing that will need to happen, but that's essentially where we're going with this. I've got the cockpit partially done. The base painting is done. I do need to go back and do some more work on cleaning up this and where all the putty and crap is. So this literally is where I ended last night. Focus on what I want. There we go. That's where I finished last night. So it just now hardened up to where it was solid. This thing was all floppy and fluky because of the way it was. So this looks terrible. I know this looks absolutely horrendous, which is, to be expected at this point. And this is what always happens when you're kit bashing. But the base is nice. I've got the lines roughly what I want. And that's really where I'm going. If I drop this off here, clean this up, it allows me to run, extra detail and greebly type stuff through here, which will fill in along the lines of what I expect on a Star Wars-y-esque mush. I'm going to lose a whole lot of this panel detail when I put this stuff together, and it's very likely I'm going to lose most of it, and I'm okay with that. I'll just rescribe some of it back in. When I have this smoothed over, I basically need to find out where the cockpit canopy glass sits, and then from there I can figure out how this is going to slide in, seal that off, cover that up with whatever, and then move on to dropping in the other parts that I need to do. So we have a start, right? It's not, there's a whole lot of work yet to go, obviously. I also have a lead on, and one of my viewers sent it to me, which is great, thank you very much, a brass replacement for this, for the cannon, which is great because that's just, so it'll be a nice detail. And at this point, it seems kind of silly to put that kind of good detail on something like this, but let's see where this ends up going. And in essence, this is the whole purpose of this video series, is to sort of, again, follow through what it's like to kit bash. I honestly can't remember how well I did it when I did the Hala fighter. But, these are the challenges I'm running into, right? So this part, coming up with what was going to be this back fuselage was just brutal, because I could build it up and I could shape it up out of styrene or whatever, or balsa or wood or whatever, but that wasn't what I was after, and I really don't have the materials on hand, so I'm trying to work with what I have on hand. And this whole kit is being built up from, for the most part, pieces I have. I don't want to have to go out and buy extra pieces. I want to be able to use the two kits of the A-10 and as much from that as possible. Now, clearly, I had a different cockpit because the cockpit's different scale, which is another trick I learned from the Hala fighter, was scale. So if you look at a 1/35th scale fighter, space fighter, in just about any venue, they're small, very small, compared to an actual atmospheric fighter jet craft. So I have a an F-14 model that is 1/35th scale, which is bigger than what you see on this table. So it would go from this point to like up here. Actually, it's even longer than that. And that is in scale to a 1/35th scale Battlestar Galactica 2 Viper, which is like half the length. Basically, it's a cockpit, engines, and a suggestion of a fuselage built around it. So scaling for sci-fi, they really scale it down. It's, you know, Serenity is one of the few, Firefly is one of the few where some of your scaling seems to be a little more appropriate, although still small. You know, Ariel is one of them. In that episode where they build the flying ambulance, that thing is tiny. So a trick I learned when I did the Hollow Fighter was using 1/48 scale models and dropping in a 1/32nd scale cockpit, and that scaled it appropriately. So that's what I did here. But other than that piece, I really am trying to use just the pieces that come from the A-10 kits, just to see if I can. I have extra googly if I need them, but I'd like to either scratch build whatever else I need or use those kits. So that's sort of the goal, and we'll see where we end up from there. You know, so I'm not going to be like investing in extra landing gear or so forth, or at least I don't want to. And yeah, so that's the overall plan and where we are at the moment. Essentially, these pieces are put together in such a way that, you know, I'm just trying to hold it together. So I will go back in and I'm going to I have to fill this in to give this whole thing strength. I have to do the same thing with this to give this thing strength, and then they'll also smooth out that line. And then obviously there's like a whole big, huge gap of whatever here. So I need to extend the pieces back and give them a place to link in and blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. But, you know, it kind of goes with the Xwing vibe, right? The big block at the back end. Xwing's sort of an interesting beast. But anyway, that's where we are. Just talking through some of the problem solving and what I'm dealing with and the ways I'm going after it, which is, you know, really the whole point of this video, or this series of videos. So those who are interested can follow along a method of doing this thing. And with that, I will go ahead and close down because it's about as far as I've got. And I'll move on to figuring out some of these problems, and I will come back later with another video. Until then, hope you all enjoyed this and wish you all happy modeling. Until next time.